In Parashat Vayakhel, and this Torah portion is a double Torah portion, Vayakhel, Pekudi, but in the beginning of Parashat Vayakhel, we find the laws of Shabbat. On 6 days, work may be done, but on the 7th day you shall have a Shabbat of complete rest, holy to the Lord. And then the Torah says, Lo tevaru esh bechol moshvoteihem beyom HaShabbat. You shall kindle no fire throughout your settlements on the Sabbath day. So the plain meaning of this verse, verse 3 in chapter 35 in the book of Exodus, is this law that we know that we cannot light a fire on Shabbat. However, our rabbis and especially our modern commentators learn something very interesting about this verse. How can we read in a different way, you shall kindle no fire throughout your settlements on the Sabbath day? And let me just read you the commentary from the Etz Chaim Chumash on page 533. This is interpreted to include the fire of anger. Arguments and angry shouts are as much a disruption of Shabbat as working and spending money. So this modern commentary teaches us that you shall not kindle the fire of argument and the fire of anger on the Shabbat day, which I hope that we all can agree on that. However, you who are listening to this Dvar Torah, you may be saying or thinking, Rabbi, this is true not only about the Shabbat day, this is true about Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. That means that we should kindle a fire of argument on Friday morning or on Sunday afternoon, but not on the Shabbat. And the truth is that the text and the Torah hopes that we won't kindle a fire of argument to begin. No on Friday, no on Saturday, no on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Sunday. But I think what the text is telling us, or what the way I read the text is, it's very difficult to change. And if you are a person who likes to start arguments, maybe what you should try to change, is to focus on one day a week in which you will feel that you are commanded by this higher authority, call it God, the Torah, a new practice, the Jewish tradition, not to start a fire on that particular day. Can you work on 25 hours, 24 hours without fighting? Can you work 24 hours without arguing? Can you pick 24 hours in your week in which it won't be about losing or winning to your wife, to your children, to your parents, to your friends? I remember that when we sat at the table with my family, and my brother and I started fighting, my mother, may she live and be well, used to say, no fighting, we are at the table. And I always was wondering, what does it mean, no fighting at the table? Did she mean that we could fight after dinner, that we could fight before dinner? I think that in her wisdom, what she, and I'm sure your parents probably said something similar, that if you can work on not fighting for 1 hour, if you can restrain yourself from fighting for 1 hour, then you will be able to take it outside the table. But you need to start somewhere. You need to start changing the way you look at life and the values in your life somewhere. And the Shabbat is a wonderful opportunity to start. And if Shabbat is too big for you, 24 hours, if it looks like a huge task, try Friday night dinner with your family. Have 2 hours, 2.5 hours to sit with your family in a moment in which you will discuss what happened in the week that was special for each of us. It's a challenge, but it's 2 hours a week. Then you can say to yourself, I'm giving permission to myself to do other things and maybe to fight, but you will find out that if you start working on 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, and then you get a taste of how wonderful it is, then you may want that these 3 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours will carry on for you in the rest of the week. So here is an invitation, as I like to conclude in each Torah, with a practical invitation that you will incorporate the moment of Shabbat. Maybe starting in Vayakhel Pekudi in this Shabbat, on a Shabbat table, that you will gather your family and you will find the time in which you will sit around the Shabbat table without arguments, without anger, and you will be able to ask each other, how was your week? Tell me something nice that happened in the past week. And hopefully with God's help you will be able to carry this feeling of sanctity and holiness in the rest of the week. Shabbat Shalom.